Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our hands-on lab. We are really excited to have you here. Today, we'll be talking about generative AI and how we think about generative AI at Snowflake. Everything under the Cortex umbrella in Snowflake is part of the generative AI features that we are developing for you. By the end of this lab, you will be able to use large language models with confidence, and you will be able to build generative AI applications on your own enterprise data. So let's get started. Before we begin, a quick reminder to please make sure you make all your purchasing decisions based on the information that's publicly available. It's nice to meet you. My name is Arun Agarwal, and I lead the AI product marketing team here at Snowflake. I'm excited to host this lab along with Carlos Carrero, who will be going to lead the majority of the lab. And to make things easy and flexible for you, we have divided our lab into two parts. In this lab, we will build enterprise-grade AI apps using two unique and powerful features within Snowflake Cortex AI. They're called Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search. Now, we know that every single organization wants to democratize their data and make data-driven insights easier for everybody in the organization. And they want to do this across their structured data as well as unstructured data. So for this hands-on lab, we will be exploring conversational AI applications using GenAI. We will work on two things: self-service analytics and retrieval augmented generation, or RAG chatbots. So let's take a quick look at the agenda today. First, we'll start with the fundamentals. I'll walk you through what it means to think about generative AI at Snowflake, and I'm excited to share all the new features that we have been building for you. We will then get into the bulk of the hands-on lab. Today, we'll see how to build self-service analytics with Cortex Analyst. So what I'll do is I'll share a little bit of an overview, and then I'll hand it over to Carlos to show us how to use Cortex Analyst. In the next lab, we will learn how to build a chatbot for documents with Cortex Search. And again, I will walk you through an overview of RAG and Cortex Search before I pass it to Carlos, who will walk us through the lab. And throughout this hands-on lab, we'll guide you so you can feel free to pause and follow along as we go through the lab. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's jump in. Okay, so to oversimplify things, here's a fundamental stack to keep in mind when building conversational apps for enterprise data. What we'll need is a front end and a back end. The front end UI, which could be things like a Slack app or Teams, a dashboard integration, or a custom app that you want to build. At Snowflake, we have Streamlit, which makes it really easy to build your apps. But if you want, you can also use something like React for more advanced experiences. While the front end is what users interact with, the back end is critical to make things happen. When somebody is asking a question, your back end will involve these three core pieces, of course, along with your DevOps, your orchestration, and monitoring. So at a high level, the first thing that you will need is some type of data management service to secure, govern, manage, and pre-process your data. Whether your data is transactional tables or documents, you need to make sure that your data is ready for your AI applications. Now, the other thing that you will need is a response generator, which is where the large language model, or LLM, comes in. And then, of course, to connect your data with the model of your choice, you will need to combine your semantic layer and a retrieval service. This will ensure that the model can find the relevant information and return the correct response to the query. Okay, so how does this look like in real life? In real life, the backend might look slightly different depending on the type of questions the app is designed to answer, right? So for example, you may be answering questions from a document, like a PDF on medical plans, or an analytical question like revenue from last week of your sales. Supporting both types of queries requires managing unstructured data for documents and structured data for databases. So for unstructured data, information sits in a document. This could be a PDF, wikis, FAQ documents, or it could be a Google Doc, right? On the other side, you're dealing with more of a structured data format. So for example, this could be sales transaction in a spreadsheet. This data lives in relational databases, as we know. So of course, once you have that information, you need a response generator, and this is going to be an LLM. And that's true for both your unstructured data as well as for your structured data. The beauty of Gen AI is that you can build something that works on both of these types of data formats And we'll talk about Chat API with Snowflake for this application later in the lab. But here's the difference. In the RAG world, we use text-based documents. And so here's where you typically have an embedding model, a vector store, and some type of search function that helps you find the most relevant results. And on the other hand, you have structured data, so which is a little bit different, right? You will need context from semantic layer, some type of a text to SQL converter, and a query engine to execute the SQL statement and get the response back. So in today's session, we are actually going to focus on the right-hand side, which is how do we ask questions in natural language and get answers back from a structured data set? And how do we do all of this within Snowflake is the question that comes to mind, right? So at Snowflake, we strongly believe that there's no AI strategy without a strong data strategy. And this is why we have been building our generative AI features, everything that falls under Cortex AI, on top of the core data layer. Because Cortex AI sits on top of Snowflake's data lake and data engineering functionality, it helps you manage, govern, process, and secure structured and unstructured data with ease. So if you look at Cortex AI platform, we have a wide range of LLMs that you can use. We also have task-specific SQL functions that you can use out of the box, as well as you can also do serverless fine-tuning of some of your open source models. And then if you want to do something more advanced, you can look at Cortex Analyst to talk to your structured data in natural language, and you can get quick insights. As well as for unstructured data, we have Cortex Search, which is a fully managed RAG engine, and it uses a hybrid search approach under the hood. We will talk about all of this in detail in the second part of our lab. So this truly is the power of Snowflake platform. It's this gravity that allows you to bring all of your data to Cortex and get insights for your entire organization. We are focused on making Cortex AI easy, efficient, and trusted for enterprises. And like I mentioned, we have two parts to the lab. Today, we will talk about Cortex Analyst, and in the next lab, we'll talk about RAG-based chatbots using Cortex Search. But we know that building enterprise-grade applications is not easy. Regardless of the data type, whether it's structured or unstructured, ensuring accuracy of these responses is critical for the users, especially for business users who rely on data correctness. The thing that I want to highlight is if you want people to be data-driven in your organization, and if you want them to be able to ask questions on demand, you want them to be able to trust the answers that you're getting to these questions that the users are asking. And one of the hardest things is that because LLMs were trained on a large text data, they were not really trained to navigate SQL or databases, right? So the industry benchmark for text to SQL accuracy is around 70%, and this is coming from a Forrester report. Well, 70% accuracy may be okay for a technical user who knows how to change their SQL and make it more accurate. But for a business user who has no idea about how to read SQL, 70% is not going to be good enough. And this is why at Snowflake, we have been working on this really complicated problem of how do we get high text to SQL accuracy. And we deliver this high text to SQL accuracy with this product called Cortex Analyst. And Cortex Analyst is not just a text to SQL service. It's actually a fully managed service that takes care of a few other things. And Carlos will show you all the different pieces that needs to be built for analysts to work in an accurate fashion. Cortex Analyst, which is an agentic AI, is a compound AI tool. And it uses LLMs from Meta, Mistral, as well as Snowflake. And by combining these LLMs, we have built a product that can take a question, analyze it, and turn it into a SQL, run the SQL, and then give you highly accurate results. Because of this, Analyst gets over 90% accuracy, which is crucial for business users. And the reason we get such high accuracy is because of a structured semantic model. Carlos is going to talk more about this, but this semantic model provides a lightweight mechanism to bridge the lingo of the business user with raw schema or table information for each and every organization, and it usually is unique for the organization. So let's take a look under the hood. The way Cortex Analyst works is the process starts with a REST API that connects to your semantic model. Once that's done, the system classifies and enriches the user questions and checks if it can be answered. One of the big things that it does is it stops hallucination. It's not just going to generate a SQL for the sake of generating SQL. It'll first check if both the question plus the information from the semantic model is accurate before deciding if they can answer the question or not. Now, if the question cannot be answered, it will go back with suggestions of other questions that the user can ask instead. If the question can be answered, then it will generate a SQL. And finally, we have two agents working in parallel to select the best SQL query, which can be validated before being executed. The result is then passed back to the LLM to generate the final response. Okay, so that's kind of how everything works under the hood. But to really see all of this in action, let's get to the hands-on lab part, and let's welcome Carlos to walk us through the lab. Over to you, Carlos.
Okay, great. Thank you, Arun, very much for the introduction. Hopefully, will be a very fun lab, and you guys will be as excited as I am. Okay, my name is Carlos Carrero, and a lead architect working for AI ML with all our partners globally. Okay, and again, let's see how we can build a very easy application. We have I think 50 minutes, something like that, to see how we can ask questions in natural language to our data. Okay. Hopefully you have the prerequisites, everything we requested for you to attend this session here. I'm going to be doing everything here today with my trial account. I still have $300 something to spend. So the only thing is that make sure when you create your trial account or you have your own account, use one of these regions here. And the reason is that although we have cross-region inference, so we can use any call to any other region, I don't want to spend time doing that today, so this will be better. I'm going to be using a Streamlit to run some of the applications here. Recommendations 3.9. I'm going to be using 3.10. I hear maybe some issues with other versions, so just for you, let you know. And here you have some links to get some of the content. We're going to be doing some basic things. We need to create some data. Also, everything we're doing here is available. It's public. You have the QUICKSTART, and we're going to do a little bit of each of these QUICKSTARTs. Okay, we're going to be getting started with Cortex Analyst, and then jumping into how we can create a semantic model. And I think more interesting how we can modify one of these semantic models, because the key thing here with Cortex Analyst is talking the business language. Okay, so I will try to do something fun here to see, how that looks like. So this is the QR code you have there. This points you into the QUICKSTART, okay, the two of them that I'm going to be using today. And just to give you an overview, first, we need to create a database and a schema, right? We need to ingest some data, something very simple, so we can work with that. I'm going to give you in the QUICKSTART a semantic model already being created. That semantic model is what is going to translate, from the data into the business terminology that we have. Okay, so we have a pre-created one for you, and then build a Streamlit application. Then we will jump into the other QUICKSTART, where we're going to see how we can easily create a semantic model, and then analyze that semantic model, make a few modifications, okay, and see how things works, okay? So again, those are the QUICKSTART. Let me go back here. As I said, this is my trial account.
Hey, Carlos, let me interrupt you for a second. I have a quick question. Did you mention that we need to have Python 3.9 or 3.10 for this lab?
Yeah, that's what I said. And the thing is that in one of the QUICKSTART, it says bigger than 3.9. I hear some of my colleagues having issues with other versions. 3.9 is working well. I'm using 3.10 today. Okay, so I know 3.10 is working well. 3.9 is working also well. Okay. Also, we have Streamlit in Snowflake. Okay, but I'm not using that today for different reasons. But yeah, that's something also we can try. Okay, but let's keep it simple. So any of those two will be fantastic. Great. So as I said, this is my trial account, okay? Nothing fancy. And let's jump into the first QUICKSTART, okay? So this is what Arun has been talking about, so nothing specific. You see bigger than 3.9. Again, 3.9, 3.10 is good. We're going to building this Streamlit application that we can ask questions about the data. So first thing we have to do is just to set up the environment, create the database, okay, and ingest some data, right? And you have this Git repository, okay, where you can ingest. Let's make sure this is big enough.
Yeah, but can you show me where I can find this QUICKSTART?
Yes, okay, that's a good point. Well, the QUICKSTART, we have this QRL, but it's even easier, right? If you guys go into quickstarts.snowflake.com, quickstarts.snowflake.com, and you go here and click on Analyst, you will have the Getting Started with Cortex Analyst, Augment BI, and AI. This is the first one I'm going to be using. And then you have Creating Semantic Models Analyst. So QR codes, you have the link. I know my colleagues right now are posting on the chat the links too. So hopefully you all get access to this, right? But again, if not, quickstarts.snowflake.com, make a click into search for analyst, and make a click there. Okay, it should be pretty easy for that. Okay. So then on the QUICKSTART, you get the repository where you have all the information. Hopefully it was on the prerequisites. You can download it there, okay? And the first thing is we need to create here a database where I'm gonna put my data so I can ask questions to that data. Then I have to create a schema. I'm gonna create a specific warehouse, that's the compute where I'm gonna be using to ask questions and to ingest data. And then a staging area where I'm going to put my CSV files with data for 3 tables. I'm going to create the 3 tables. So something you can do if you want, you can copy paste all this, or you can just make a click in this file here. This is going to give you to the Git repository. So this is the same content I just showed you there. You can click here on the top. I think you know that. Copy raw file, right? I can just go and copy. So I copy that information I'm going to be using. Now, guys, you can jump into your Snowflake account. Let me go is where I have it here. Let me move to the left so I don't get confused. Here on the left, you got projects. Here, I'm going to be using worksheets. Okay. You also have now notebooks within Snowflake. You have the Streamlit applications, right? Dashboards and everything. So I'm going to go into worksheets and create a new worksheet where I'm going to be typing all these commands. Just click here on the top of the right. You have the Create SQL worksheet. That's what I'm going to be doing. And I can just paste everything I copied before, right? So again, I'm creating 3 tables, the staging area, my own warehouse, my database. And by the way, I'm using here everything as sysadmin, okay? Again, in my trial account, and not overcomplicated. If you are using your own account from your company, maybe, yeah, you have to use different roles. But of course, that depends on your security that you have there. So let me get everything. I don't know what they got this here. Okay. So I'm gonna execute everything, 9 steps. So Arun, we are just, this is something we have to do, creating the database, the schema, creating the tables, right? Something we can do meanwhile, if I go back to the QUICKSTART, okay, and go to the next step, we are gonna need these 3 files here you have in the Git repository. This is the daily revenue combined, the revenue by region, by product, and the specification file. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing now is download each one of these. I just make a click in this one. You see it's a normal CSV file with a lot of data. I can click here in download. So I'm going to get this one. Let me get each one of this. Let me get the second one. Daily revenue by region. Again, I got here North America, Europe, so on. I'm going to download this one. Let me get the third one. I'm going to download it too. Hopefully, guys, you got this already. Okay, it was on the prerequisites. I'm just going step by step. And this is the specification file. Okay, we will take a look later here, but this is what is still is letting know Cortex Analyst what do I have in that data, right? So my daily revenue, my measures, my dimensions, every information. For now, let's do not complicate. Just download that file here. Click download. Okay, so I
Carlos,
got those
when you,
4 files.
you say
Yeah, go ahead.
when you say specification file, you mean the semantic model or the YAML file? It's all the same thing.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm sorry, I call it on very different ways sometimes, but this is the magic. Okay, this is that file with the specification, with the semantic model that is going to translate, it's given the information. Listen, this is the key thing here, right? You can be a very good SQL analyst, right? You know a lot of SQL. You go first day into a new company, right? And then the guys from the business asking questions to you with a terminology you don't understand. You know how to type SQL very well, okay? But you have no idea about the business and how they call things, right? So this is what this file is doing, right? I'm using large language models to help me to write SQL, but I'm giving this context, okay, so they can understand, the terminology that they're using, the kind of questions they're asking, so we can write, the right SQL. That is the key thing you mentioned before, that 90%, accuracy, right? One of the key reasons is that, having the right information that you have here. Make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Beautiful. So, in my quick start, what I'm going to be doing is just these CSV files and specification. I'm going to upload that into my staging area. I'm going to upload that into a Snowflake. Okay, so here in the quick start, you have how to do it is super simple. I can go to my Snowflake account. If I refresh here, by the way, here on the left, now I have my Cortex Analyst demo database. You see that one, I can click. I have my schema revenue time series I just created. I got the 3 tables I created before, they are empty. And I have my stages with my raw data, okay? So to upload the files here, let's do something. I can click there, I can go to the right. You see this open stage details in a new tab, okay? So let's that open in a different tab, and I'm gonna upload the files here. Okay, you see this is like a file system if you want. This is my staging area, S3 location within a Snowflake. Of course, I can also do this from S3 and AWS, blob storage. But again, I don't want to spend time here making that connection. So this is the easiest thing for a hands-off lab. Just click on plus files. Okay, let's click there. And now what I can do is just browse. This is my download, so I'm going to select everything. Sorry, it's too small for you guys, I guess, but trust me, this is the icon. I select the files, nothing fancy here. Okay, so just open, and now you will see
files, Carlos,
my 4 files. Okay, I just selected the 4 files I downloaded before, period. Okay, I need to make this a little bit smaller, so now I can click here on upload. Bigger again. So there I have more 4 files uploaded into a Snowflake. Now what I'm going to do is to get those CSVs into those tables, right? So going back to my file, you got this log data, which is just copy into the tables I created before, is just going to copy the content of these CSV files. Okay, so that's all. What I'm going to be doing is just click on the load data SQL. I can copy this, copy raw file. I can go back to my Snow site, the worksheet I had before. Okay, let me go here down, press a few ones. I'm going to paste, and I'm going to just select these commands. Okay, let me run it, top of the right, you see there. Beautiful, so I'm ingesting data now into those tables. So far I have not done anything fancy, just create a database, a schema, 3 tables, ingested data into those tables, right? So that's the the only thing I have done so far, but okay, we need to get some data somewhere so we can start asking questions, right? So the next thing is going to build the Streamlit application, and that's going to be a step number 4, okay? So here we're going to create that, and we're going to be using a Streamlit in Snowflake today, okay? So pretty easy. If you have not used a Streamlit before, you will see how easy it is to do that. And the goal here is to use the API for Cortex Analyst, okay? So we can ask questions in natural language using a semantic model. So here on the QUICKSTART, you have how to do it. I'm going to show you that in my account. We're going to create the app in our database and the schema. And here you have one example. You can click. You see this is one example of the application. You can click here, Cortex Analyst's demo app. And let me open that one. Let me make it bigger. What I'm going to do is just go here and copy this file. Okay, so let's keep it there. I'm going to copy this. I go into my account. This is where I have, remember, my database. Here on the left, you can see projects. Okay, I have the worksheets, I have notebooks, and I have a Streamlit. Okay, so if I make a click on a Streamlit, I'm going to create my first Streamlit app here on the top at the right. I click there. You can give this a name, whatever you want to call it. So let's call this Analyst. This is the database I'm using, Cortex Analyst demo, right? The only one I have right now. And make sure you go into your revenue underscore time series. Okay, this is the schema I'm using here. You may have a compute underscore warehouse if you are using a trial account. You also, in this demo, we have created this Cortex Analyst warehouse. Okay, let's go and use it. Any of them is going to be working well. But let's use the Cortex Analyst underscore warehouse. And let's click on create. So the first time I create my Streamlit app, it's going to give me a template. So just to show you how it works, I can remove everything. I don't need this template at all. So let's remove everything.
Carlos, could you click in just to zoom a little bit for us, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. I can do it. Let me do it right now. And I had copy before. Remember, Arun, I was here. I copy all this code. This is my Streamlit app. Let me copy paste and we go deeper into what this is doing. Okay. So I have copied this file. I click here, copy the file. I go into my application, go there. I'm going to paste my code. Okay. So yes, click on run. Okay. So this is running my Streamlit application. Okay. Let me maybe show you a little bit of code of what we're doing here. Okay, it is just 109 lines of code. Again, this can be any front end, right? It is an API we're talking to. Of course, using a Streamlit in a Snowflake, it's amazing because everything is running within a Snowflake. It's secure, it's governed, right? I can share this app, with other users. But you may have your own applications and you can integrate with the Streamlit app. The key thing here is that this is the database, the schema, and the stage, and this is the specification file that we will be taking a look later, okay, that we are using. This is what have this, information, right, about what is the business terminology we have here. And it's just an API, so I send the message, okay, with the content, the prompt, and I provide to the API what is my semantic model file, okay, the one I'm creating, and I send the message. So this is really what the application is doing. What, Arun, if we start asking questions in natural language? Okay, let me make this like this. This is good. It's big enough, okay? So I have a semantic file. We still have not taken a look to the semantic file. We will do later. So let's see, okay, what kind of questions can I ask? And then what we're going to be doing is using or Cortex Analyst is going to use that semantic file. And what that semantic file give me an idea of what kind of questions, right? So This semantic data model allows you to analyze daily revenue, cost of goods sold, and forecasted revenue broken down by product line, region. Okay, so like, we have sales data here, right? Let's see, it's talking about products. Let's check products, but maybe before, Arun, you was mentioning at the beginning about hallucination, right? And that's a key thing for me. I really like that one from Cortex Analyst, is that really, if can give you an answer, it's going to give you an answer. If not, it will give you recommendations. What if we ask something like, what is the growth? Super generic, okay? And again, this is not about hallucinate, right? It's about, giving the right answers. So say, hey, sorry, I didn't quite understand what you mean by grow. Okay, could you please clarify what you're trying to measure, the growth of revenue, profit, or time period, and give me a few suggestions, right? I can just make a click there and get that, okay? Let's go. It was mentioning products, okay, and revenue. I don't know what products we have here, so let me double check just to make better questions. What products do we have? Of course, this is a very simple question, okay, but I just want to have an idea so we can filter a little bit by product, maybe by year, something like that can be a little bit more complicated. So what I'm doing is using that semantic model, and I have electronics, I have toys, books, and so on. This is, giving me the interpretation of the question. Okay, I know the product, that's what I wanted to have. Okay, so let's see, for example, for toys, what is the daily revenue for toys during 2024. Okay, so I'm gonna be a little bit more specific. And this is an agentic system, right? So it's using different LLMs. So what is the daily revenue for the toys product line during this year 2024? That's the interpretation. This is the data I have. I can check the SQL query. I will go back to the code now to take a look here. But this is filtered by toys, by year, and this is a Streamlit. Okay, so at the end, I can go and have a line chart, for example, that show that information. Maybe let me go back to show you the code a little bit. So because the key thing is that when I process the message, right, I got information like suggestions, like the type, like the SQL, right? So the API is giving me a lot of information back. Then it is up to me as a developer what I want to do with that information, right? So I have seen some of the partners I work with, for example, getting that output, running the SQL, right? So at the end, I'm running the SQL here. As you can see, I'm running the SQL, and then get the output and use Cortex to ask a question about, hey, I asked this question, I got this answer. Can you explain that in natural language? It's a very good use of large language models within a Snowflake that you can combine with Cortex Analyst. Okay, so and here also I'm using Streamlit to make some rows and so on. Okay, what about if I make these are super easy SQLs? Okay, let's try to do something more complicated. For example, what is the month by month revenue growth? I was asking about growth before, but now let's be more precise. Growth for toys during 2024. Okay, so and I have to calculate the revenue for 1 month, for the next month, to calculate the difference. Okay, give that information there. Honestly, Arun, this will take a little bit more for me if I have to write that SQL myself. Okay, so here what we have is that, I got the output for the current, the previous month, the revenue for each of the months, what's the difference, and what is the percentage. Okay, if we take a look to this SQL, okay, it's a little bit more complicated. Okay, so it's also filtering, but here is creating a join between the two views that we got there. Okay, adding so a little bit more complex of what is usual to do. Okay, so far so good, Arun, and what we are doing.
Yeah, this is wonderful. I had one question for us.
Go ahead.
Is there a way for us to add more than one semantic model file, or do you always restrict it to one YAML
Yeah,
file?
I mean, that's super easy. I mean, here, what I have is that, as you can see, this is the semantic model I used. So within Streamlit, it's very easy to go into your app and say, okay, select what is the semantic model you want to use. And it is the one I'm going to be using when called the API. So maybe you have a semantic model for human resources, another one for operations, right? And then you want to ask questions and then select what is the business you are asking questions about. Of course, something to keep in mind is that everything within Snowflake is role-based access control. Okay, so you only can use that semantic model if you have the rights, okay, to use that model. Okay, so everything is secure there. Not everybody can connect and ask, of course, any kind of questions, right? Something interesting, and I want to show you here, right? And it's not on the QUICKSTART, so we have created data specific for you. Is that this is cool, right? But what if I go here and say, I was asking about 2024, right? And now I want to continue my conversation, right? And say, okay, and for 2023, right? So I was asking about toys for 2024. So everybody's expecting to be on a chat. And I say, hey, and for 2023, and say, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Why? Because the key thing here is that it's not keeping the context there. So what we're going to be doing here, and if you go back to the place where we have this Cortex Analyst, this is a GitHub. Okay, so I can click on the getting started. I go to this Git repository.
Can you
Yes.
zoom in a little bit for us, please?
Yeah, a good point.
Great.
You
Thank
can
you.
see here this Bill sys analyst multi-term. Okay, so this is one I create here for you. And yeah, I think at this point in your trial account, it should be okay. It should be enabled. Okay. Again, depending what you are watching, this can be different. The key, this is is the same thing. That the difference is that on the message, and sending the session state from Streamlit and the message. So really the history. Okay, this is our conversation. Okay, so I'm giving all the context to the API for Cortex Analyst so I can follow the conversation. Okay, so let's do something, Arun. I'm gonna copy all this code again. I go here. This is the right one. Yeah, copy raw file. Okay, let me copy that one. You guys can create another Streamlit app if you want. Okay, again, go back, create the Streamlit app. Just let me remove this code and write the new one. So let me open the code. I'm gonna remove everything here. Let me remove all this content and just paste the new one. It's empty. I paste the new one. Let me check. This is the one where I using, yes, the message is the state message. Okay, so let's run this one. The difference in this one is that if you click here, you see on the top of the left, this arrow, I can click there. I can click on reset conversation. Okay, so this is like, okay, let's start with the new context. So let's make, similar question we had before, like what is the month by month revenue for toys during 2024? Okay, I'm not asking about revenue grow, just about revenue. Okay, so month, accusing monthly. Okay, month by month revenue for toys during 2024. So yeah, I got the revenue. Okay, for that one, I can check the SQL query. It's there. I got toys, that one. Now let's try to keep the conversation, right? And I go here and say, okay, on the revenue growth, that was the revenue. I want to know the growth. Okay, so Now, because I'm using that API where I include the message with the history of my conversation, right? The API is going to understand the background and so rephrase, again, the first thing we do is to rephrase the question. So let's take a look at this. Okay, now my question is, and the revenue grow, and say, this is our interpretation of your question. What is the month-by-month revenue growth for toys during 2024? Okay, it was able, and this is similar to what I had before. Okay, so now I have that revenue growth for toys 2024. What if I go and say, okay, and for 2023, so let's see if that keep the context, okay, and asking about month-by-month revenue growth for toys during 2024, right? Now, and asking for 2023. So now let's see, 2023, again, what's the month-by-month revenue growth for toys during 2023? So make the right thing here, correct? Let's go and say, okay, last thing, and you guys, of course, can test here and try to do different things to see what happens. Okay, what about, I think electronics was the other product that we had there. Okay, so what about electronics? Okay, so let's see what happened, because I asking about month revenue, then what is the growth, then 2020, what about 2023, right? And now I change about, okay, and I want to talk about electronics now. Okay, so let's see what happened. Well, interesting. Say, what is the month-by-month revenue growth for electronics over the entire available period? Which makes sense, right? So I was talking about different years. I'm talking about toys. So again, if I take a look to the SQL, I'm talking about electronics for, all the data that I got there, okay? So any questions, Arun, you may have here?
Yeah, this is great. I had a question on when you replace the SQL code for Streamlit, Carlos. I noticed that you didn't have to hit the run button the second time you put the code.
Yeah. Yeah, I correct. I hit there on the right, so I have a new code. I just run that code
Okay.
there. My warehouse is active, it's running. So if not, it's gonna run immediately. Not a big issue. So yes, copy paste. I mean, guys, you better create a maybe different Streamlit app so you can check what's the difference between one and the other. Okay, I wanted to make sure again it's not on the quick start. Again, maybe when you are watching this and that quick start is updated with the new code. Because this is evolving a lot. Okay, but I wanted to make sure there was a repository where you had that function so you can go and check this multi-term, okay, where we can keep the conversation with the Streamlit app. Okay, we have been talking, if we go back to the Streamlit application, right? This is what we have done. We have to take a look to how to send the message. One of the key things here that make this work is this semantic model, okay? And the details of the semantic model, right? So this is what really explain, what is the data that we have here, okay? We're gonna go next into building that semantic model ourselves. We're gonna try to make some funny things, that make it clear that we can use our own business terminology, okay? Let's see, hope that would be great. But if we take a look here to what we have, right? So we have the measures. So for things like, daily revenue, you have things like synonymous. So, my business people, daily revenue, also they call sales, they call income, right? So different terminology that I can use here. I have the daily profit, which is something which is calculated. Okay, there is not a column that is called daily profit because that is the revenue minus the cost of goods sold. Okay, so that's something we calculate there. We have time dimensions. We have dimensions where we have some sample values there. The integration between Cortex Analyst and also Cortex Search. This is very interesting because there are cases where maybe you have a lot of sample values, right? And you don't want to have all of them in your semantic model, okay? So what you do is that here you integrate and say, okay, to look for these sample values, you can go into Cortex Search, okay? And use Cortex Search with all the embeddings to find those similar values, the question you're asking, right? So very powerful, the combination of Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search working together, okay? that's something that that will be coming. Okay, good. So the next thing for us, I mean, we have seen, again, ingested data into Snowflake. We had to have some data. We have created our first application. You see how easy it is to start talking to the data. The key thing here is the semantic model. Okay, so if we go back, the next thing is gonna be building this semantic model. Okay, so that's gonna be the semantic model generator. Okay, that we're gonna see. So we're gonna test here how we can create it, how we can use it, how we can modify that, and see what happened. So let's take a look to that next. And here we are creating semantic models for Cortex Analyst. Okay, here what we have today is a tool, Streamlit application. Okay, that is going to make most of the work for you. It's going to help you to create a semantic model from scratch. It's going to help you to tune a semantic model and see how that works. Okay, and even bring in semantic model from some of our partners. For example, you will see DBT or Looker, right? You can bring those into a Snowflake. Okay.
Hey, Carlos,
So
can I ask you a
yeah,
question?
go ahead.
I'm looking at the previous quick start that you shared on augmented BI with AI. There is a step there, step 6, which is about verified query repo. Are
Very
we going to
good.
talk about that, or is that something?
Yes, I want to demo that. And please remind me if I don't do it. So in this lab, I want to talk about verified queries. A verified query is something that we know is working well. So this is the typical question everybody's asking, right? So all the business users typically ask this question at the end of the month, right? Then what we do is that in that semantic model, we can write that query. Say, okay, this is the query. So what I can do when I will be testing my semantic model in my application now, I can say, okay, this is the question, this is the answer. Oh yeah, that's correct. I know it. Click. This is now a verified query. Okay, so just it's going to be there in the semantic model. And then I don't even need to use the LLM. You know, every time I asking that question, I know the answer for sure. Okay. Okay, so we're going to build, yes, again, a tool here. What you have to do is to download everything. So get all this repository. It was on the prerequisites. So if I click here, semantic model generator, just go and get all these, clone the Git repository, download the zip, whatever you want to do. Okay. This is the complete tool that we're going to be using here. Okay,
And
so this is the Git repository with all the information for the tool we're going to be using. This is the semantic model generator. Okay, today is still here a Streamlit app. Okay, that we're using. You have your conlogator. I show you how to do that before. Hey, now this is more clear in the QUICKSTART. This is new, fantastic. You saw. Click there, copy account URL. The same thing I show you a couple of times. It's here on the QUICKSTART. They upload it. And what you have to do is that depending where you are, just export the role that you have. Remember, I was using account admin. You may have different ones, the warehouse, the user, the account locator, which is what we just copy there, and the Snowflake host, which is just the name of the host that you have there. Okay, so this needs to be environment variables. Okay, or you just create a .m file. Okay, like the one you have here. You can just create that file, make sure you source it in your CLI, okay, and you are ready to go. Well, there are different ways to run this Streamlit application, okay. Here today, I'm going to be using standalone Streamlit, okay. Maybe depending when you are watching this, because I think, Arun, you can watch this also on demand, correct? This is evolving a lot, okay. So we also have, and we have there, you can run Streamlit in Snowflake, okay, but as of today, there are some libraries that are needed there. So just to make clear, I'm going to be using standalone Streamlit, but this is evolving a lot. So you have different options here. So also this is coming with, you make setup admin app is going to install all the libraries that are needed, okay, for this application to run. So really download the repository, set your .env environment with your host, user, password, warehouse, and so on. Run make admin setup underscore admin underscore app. That's going to install everything that you need. Okay. And then after that, you just run the app. You have two options: make run admin app or just Python Streamlit. Okay, interesting. They're using 3.11. Let's see. I'm using 3.10, and it's working well. And cross my fingers, it's still working well. This morning was working well. Hopefully, everything will be working well today too. So let me jump into that, and we're gonna see how this works. Okay, so this is where I got everything. Run admin app. So I'm connecting to my Snowflake.
Carlos, the Python code. Could you show that one more time?
The Python code for what? I mean, this is the only thing you have to do is to run this. Make run admin app. That is gonna run the Streamlit application. Really, this is what it's doing. Yes, Streamlit. I'm running this app.py. We don't need to go deeper. This is just the application. It's a Streamlit app. It's gonna do many fancy things. Of course, always make sure you get the latest version. Okay, my colleagues keep updating this very, very often. Okay, so this is evolving a lot, and that's what you need, right? You don't need to take a look into any code here. What you need to understand is that I can create a new semantic model. I can edit a 16.1 or start with a partner semantic model. Okay, so let's take a look how we create a semantic model so you guys can see how it looks like from scratch, okay, and understand what you have to do on the top. So if I click here, create a new semantic model, it's gonna give this a name. So build lab. I can say how many sample values I want to get for column. Okay, this is going to make a few calls within Snowflake. It's also going to use large language models to provide some information and extract, okay, describe what I may have here. So it's going to help you a lot in building this semantic model. Okay, so I'm going to choose the database that I have, Cortex Analyst demo. Only I can choose several databases. I'm going to use only this one. I'm going to go into the revenue time series schema. That's all. And I'm going to select my three tables. Okay, so daily revenue, revenue by product, revenue by region. Okay, and that's all. Let's click on enable experimental features. Let's be vendors today and click on submit. So this is going to take a few minutes. Okay, and what is interesting is to take a look to what's happening within Snowflake. So while this is running, let me switch into my Snowflake account. If I find it, okay, yeah, it's here. Here on the left, you can go into monitor, right? And you have this query history. And this is interesting. You see everything going on here. For example, let's take a look at this one. This is making a call to Snowflake Cortex Complete using Llama 3 8b. And the prompt is, here is the table with value DDL, create or replace, blah, blah, blah. Please provide a business description of the table, only return the description without any other text. So what this tool is doing is using the large language models running within Cortex AI, okay, to extract information and help you, to get some semantic information about what do you have there, okay? So what this tool is doing, is building all that, calling this complete, get everything, get the schemas, and building that semantic model for you, okay? So here, this is the semantic model I call build_lab. Okay, the tables, I got the daily revenue table. I got this description. This table stores daily revenue data, including the date, blah, blah, blah. And there is a comment on the right, say, auto-generated description, please modify and remove at the end, okay? So again, this is what we find out, okay? That, of course, is something for you to review and say this is accurate or not, okay? The base tables, then here you can add filters, you can add synonymous, okay? How do I call this? A different terminology to use this or not, okay? Sample values that we get for you. Again, more synonymous, the description. So the tool has auto-generated, okay, a lot of information here, okay? Now what you have to do is to go and complete that one, Okay. Make sense, Arun?
Yes, you're basically using your organizational lingo to create something that the LLM can read.
Correct. Now let's take a look to the semantic model I have been using in my previous lab. Okay, let's try to make some change there, because the key thing here for me today is you guys understand, how powerful is to having that semantic model, okay, and how that is describing, my business terminology. So let me go back, return to home. Okay, now let's click on edit an existing semantic model. Okay, so I click there. I'm going to choose my database, Cortex Analyst demo. I have my schema revenue time series. I have my staging area raw data, and there is where I had uploaded my revenue underscore time series YAML file, correct? Let's enable experimental features, submit. So now what I have on the left is that semantic model, which is complete. So here you can see daily revenue. I call that sales, income, right? Things like daily forecast, okay, forecasted sales, forecasted income, or calculated daily profit is the revenue minus the COGS, okay? So this is where I have all that information, right? Let's do something here. So and you was asking before, okay, I have to make this a little bit smaller. I don't know why, because if not, I cannot type here. Well, the first thing I have to do is to validate. So let's validate this one to make sure it's correct. So also this tool is helping me to validate that this is really what Cortex Analyst is going to be expecting. Okay, no problems there. So you was asking about verify queries. Okay, so what if I let's use one of these calculated things here. We got daily revenue profit. So we have here by product line. Okay, product line. We have daily profits per product line, which is the revenue minus the cost of goods. Okay, so let's see if I ask in the question, okay, what is the month by month growth in profit? Okay, so that's profit. It has to calculate the profit. Okay, the profit is not in a column, has to calculate this. So what is a month by month profit for electronics during 2024? Okay, so let's ask that question. What is a month by month growth in profit for electronics during 2024? Okay, what about Arun? If here is Snowflake, and this is completely fictional, okay, what if we, instead of saying profit, we say snowfall? Okay, what is a snowfall? For us, snowfall is profit, okay? Well, by the way, before I jump into that, this is the query who has been generated. So I can validate, I can see, okay, this is correct. This is looking good. So correct is doing the revenue minus the cost of goods. Okay, it's there. That's my table. And to your point, I can go here. Let me go down and say save as verified query. Okay, so I validate this as an analyst. This is the business question that they are giving me. Okay, save as verified query. Now, if I go to the bottom here, you can see there is this verified query, name, the question, the SQL, verify at this time by Carrero, who is me. Okay, so that is the verified query. Here is where also we can define the joins, how we have different tables where we have joins. We can define everything here. Okay, so now what if I go here and say, I'm going to be asking the same question, okay, but instead of profit, I call this a snowfall. Because again, here in my company, profit for us is a snowfall, beautiful snowflakes falling down. We call that profit. Good. So let's see what happened. Do Cortex analysts understand what we mean with the snowfall? Has no idea, okay? So I apologize. I'm unable to answer your question about the month by month in the snowfall for the electronics I have no information in the model. Okay, so I'm not hallucinating there. So, okay, let's try to do something here. So there was daily profit. Okay, let me find that. Meridian. So this is the daily profit per product line. I have no synonymous for this. So let me copy something here. I'm going to get synonymous. And I got there. And I call, okay, this daily profit, we also call snowfall, correct? Snowfall. Okay, so let's validate this one. Let me do it again. Sometimes I need to refresh to get this one. And let me answer the same question again. So what is the amount my bank is now growing as snowfall for electronics product during 2024? Let's see what happens. So now is using hopefully that new semantic model. Interesting. So one of the things we have done is that, okay, my question is, what is the month by month growing in snowfall? But what we do is, okay, what I understand you're asking is, what is the month by month grow in profit for the electronics? Okay, so now that semantic model understand that we call profit, we call it snowfall when we really mean profit in the information we have on the table. Again, build the same SQL I had before and give me the right information that I have there, okay? You can also have these semantic models for partners. So again, this keep evolving. Today we have dbt and Locker, okay? That you can click there and then get the information from these models and bring that into a Snowflake and start asking questions into a Snowflake, okay? So what we have done today, again, using my trial account, so anybody can do this. I use two different QUICKSTART, okay? You can go do this yourself. Ingesting some data, we just have a preloaded semantic model. We was able to start asking questions in natural language about data for revenue, product line, and so on. Then we have seen this tool where it can help me to build that semantic model and also how to modify that semantic model. So really, I understand the questions from the business users, make sure it's built in the right SQL so we can go to that 90% of precision.
This was incredible just to see the power of large language models and the importance of the semantic file to get organizational data and context that can help business users get insights very quickly from their data. Welcome to our hands-on lab, where we'll be talking about all things generative AI at Snowflake. We are excited to have you. Our goal today is to give you an overview of generative AI at Snowflake and also help you become more confident in using large language models for your enterprise use cases. Now, we know that every single organization is looking to make use of their data across every single user and make these data-driven decisions. And you know that data is both structured as well as unstructured. So our goal for this lab is to give you tools so that you can start making use of both your structured and unstructured data within the enterprise. So what we'll be doing is we will talk about building generative AI applications using two unique and powerful features within Snowflake Cortex called Cortex Analyst and Cortex Search. So let's take a quick look at the agenda. In part one of this lab, we shared an overview of Cortex AI and showed you how you can build self-service analytics with Cortex Analyst. So today we want to focus on how to use Cortex Search to build retrieval augmented generation or RAG chatbots. I want to take a couple of minutes to talk about Cortex Search, and then we'll pass it over to Carlos to walk through the lab. So let's jump in. So Snowflake is heavily invested in building generative AI applications and solutions for everybody in the organization. We believe in making AI easy, efficient, and trusted. So for this, we have many different things. We have the foundation models, we have task-specific functions, and many other advanced solutions. But we know that more than 80% of the data lives in unstructured documents. So we want to provide an easy way for you to get answers from your unstructured data, such as web pages, wikis, FAQ documents, etc. And this is why we have built Cortex Search. So let me give you a high-level overview of what Cortex Search is and how we can use this to build enterprise-grade RAG chatbots. It's a fully managed service that we offer within Cortex AI. And Cortex Search is a hybrid search. So what it means, it combines both the semantic or the vector search as well as regular keyword search. It's done behind the scenes. So you can get both the contextual information from the semantic search as well as the exact keyword match with the keyword search. And then it combines the results from both of these searches. It runs a reordering algorithm to then give you the most relevant results up top. So as a result of this, we know that using this combined hybrid approach is far more accurate compared to just the vector search that people use. And the beauty of hybrid search is you do not have to fine-tune your models, your embedding models to improve quality. You can provide signals such as popularity of the document, when was it last opened, and things like that to help the search results to be more and more accurate. And so with Cortex Search, anyone can build RAG chatbots, right? So what you need to do in order for you to complete your RAG application is you use these retrieval results, the hybrid search results, and then you pass them through LLM that I showed at the bottom of the foundation model layer to then get relevant results. Okay, great. So let's take a quick look at the RAG architecture before we invite Carlos for the hands-on lab part. So at a very high level, the way RAG works is from an architecture perspective is you have some client or application where the user will come in and ask a question, and they will expect an answer in that application. Under the hood, you have to embed their question, and it needs to be compared. Once the question is embedded, it needs to be compared with a repo of documents that are available from before, which is also embedded and pre-processed, right? And once you have the question that is embedded, you have your history or the relevant documents embedded, you can then compare the two and find the most relevant results based on spatial distribution. You do all of that, and once you do that, you can define the most relevant results that you want to see coming out of this search. And then once you have the most relevant results, you can pass them back into your choice of large language model with some type of a prompt template. So those are some of the basic components of the RAG architecture. I just wanted to touch up upon these things because Carlos will be using all of this for the lab. And then just a reminder that everything you see in this purple box, which is Cortex Search, is kind of a fully managed service, right? So we take care of things like embedding, parsing, vectorization, chunking, etc., so that you can build your RAG chatbots quickly for your enterprise. And you will see how easy it is to build your RAG chatbots using Cortex Search. Okay, great. So let's bring this all together to life. Let's invite Carlos for the hands-on lab part. Over to you, Carlos.
Yeah, thank you, Arun. Today, we're going to go, as you mentioned, into documents, right? So we're going to be using some PDF documents that we have created as something very important. What we want to show here is that we can use a large language model to answer questions about our own business, right? That the large language model doesn't know anything about my business really, or should not. And that's where I'm going to be using retrieval augmented generation, right? So let's go ahead. Let's get our hands dirty. This is the QR code. You can scan it. The prerequisites you had in the agenda was quite easy for this lab. Everything I'm going to be doing today is using a trial account. So you can use a trial account yourself or any of the accounts that you may have. The only thing is double check that is listed in one of the regions where we support these large language models and embeddings, right? So that's a key thing here. We can use cross-region inference, but then I don't want to spend time on this lab today, right? And maybe you already in advance get the PDF documents we're going to be using. I will get that myself, right? So this is what we're going to be building today, okay? We're going to go step by step. Again, the idea is that I have my own company where I have things about bikes and snow, the things I really like, okay? And I have some fictitious information there, okay? Things that really does not exist, okay? So we're going to use that documents to being able to ask questions and use this Streamlit application to prove, how retrieval augmented generation works, okay? And what is the advantage of using that. So we're going to go into pre-process all the documents. We're going to ingest those PDFs into a Snowflake or readouts from Snowflake. We're going to pre-process and doing the chunking, then create this Cortex search service that Arun mentioned, which is going to the key things here in this architecture, because it's doing a lot of things for us, right? Maybe you have done this lab in the past and it has evolved a lot, right? One of the first versions, we had to create the embeddings ourselves. We had to store those embeddings into a vector data type. Then we had to do things like cousin similarity to look for what is the similar vector to the question we are asking, right? Now Cortex Search manages all those things for you. And it is not just the easy of use, right? It is also the cutting edge results that we get. Because as Arun explained, we are doing just similarity search, but we are doing the lexical search. We do the re-ranking, the fusion to give the best results for that. Okay, so something that if you try to do by yourselves, you have to stitch together different services. Okay. And then we're going to build a couple of applications on top of that really can talk to the data, okay? Hopefully, you guys got access to the link. Again, I'm going to be using a trial account. I still got a few credits here to spend myself. I had the database which was using yesterday, but nothing else here. This is the link to the guide we're going to be using.
Show us how we can find this quick start, Carlos.
Yeah. So again, on the here you have this bit.ly rack based editing assistant. That's the link. Or even, I mean, if you don't have the link, you don't have whatever, guys, go to quickstarts.snowflake.com, type here rack, and you can see, well, a lot of things about retrieval augmented generation. This is one, build a retrieval augmented generation based editing assistant using that. So different ways to go to the quick start, okay? Hopefully, guys, you get access to that one already. So this is what we're doing. This is the overview you presented, right? So when we build why retrieval augmented generation is a way to provide context when asking questions to the large language model. Something I'm going to be doing is asking questions about my own business, my own bikes that does not exist on internet. Okay, so it's not possible. Any large language model has been trained with that data, okay, because it's my own data. So what I do here is use retrieve augmented generation, okay, to get all my content, get that content into this case, Cortex Search, okay, as a service, and then being able to ask the questions. What is unique here from Snowflake is that now we also have this parse underscore document. In previous versions of this lab, you have to create some Python functions using a Snowpark, using PyPDF to read the PDF. Now we have this parse document natively supported within a Snowflake, okay, which is fantastic. In fact, Arun, you wrote with Julianne and Jesse this amazing blog where we have this new parse underscore document that what it's doing is reading the PDF documents natively, okay, which is fantastic. You will see now, you will do that yourself. You only have to point to the location of the PDF document and it's going to read that for you, okay? And then we have this that, well, not today in the trial account, so I'm not going to be using because it's still not on the trial account, but will be pretty soon, is this split text recursive character, which is going to do the chunking, right? Because I think, discussing, I don't want to get, the full PDF. I want to divide that in pieces. So when I ask the question, right, find which is the relevant piece of the document that I'm providing as a context to the large language model. Also, as you guys know, the large language models, some of them have some limits on the context I can provide. So this chunking is very helpful to, not using a very large window. Something very interesting of this parse document, okay, is the fact, as you guys have described here, is that when you extract, you can define layout or OCR, right? So the layout, really understand when you have a table, which is the limits that you have within that table. Okay, so provide more rich information from the tables. So we're going to be using that mode in the lab today. But there are different options here. Okay. So we're going to be using that. Sorry, let me go back here. For the split, as we don't have that yet, I'm going to use Snowpark, which again is super good, super powerful. I can do all kind of Python things within Snowflake. So I'm going to use Python, and I'm going to use one of the libraries from LangChain to do the split. Okay, you will see how we do that. And then we're going to just ingest all that text into a Snowflake table where we are going to enable the Cortex search service. That's really what we have to do. So this lab is going easier and easier and easier and more powerful too, right? So after we do that,
to interrupt
yeah,
you for a second.
go ahead.
So everything you have described so far is kind of pre-processing your PDFs to make them ready for the search. Is that right?
That's correct. So I'm reading the PDF, getting the text, and splitting that text on pieces, okay, and then ingest it into a Snowflake, okay. In a vector database or other implementations, what you have to do is that you have to also do the embeddings and store those embeddings in a embedded vector data type format that you can do within a Snowflake. A previous version of this, we was using that approach. The thing now, Arun, is that with Cortex Search, this is much simple. As you will see on the lab, the only thing I have to do is to write the data into the table and enable the service in that table. Maybe you are asking, okay, what happens when I get more documents? Okay, there is nothing to do because Cortex Search Service is going to take care of, okay, I got new documents. I'm going to do the indexing. I'm going to create embeddings for those new documents. Okay, so you create the service, you start using the service, nothing else to worry about.
That's incredible. Really excited.
And then we will talk later about the retrieval. Okay, but again, when we do the retrieval, we're just asking the questions. We don't need to create the embeddings and do the cosine similarity. That's something the service is doing for me. I will just be asking the question, and then the service is going to give me the top K more relevant pieces of information according to the question that I asking, right? Then as you describe, I will get that context and we'll put that context into the large language model. Here we're using the complete function. That is how we get access to the large language models within Snowflake, okay? To get the response, right? And well, at the end, we will be talking about chat APIs, super excited about that. And of course, we have the TrueLens also for MML, ops, and observability that I'm not gonna be covered today, but lots of things to do there, right? So yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing. So let's go to get the documents. Here in the QUICKSTART, you have this link. That's the best thing. Just go here. I have put all these documents. I will show you one now. Click here on the download. So I'm gonna get these documents for me. Okay, let's take a look to how this looks like, right? So let's see to the premium bicycle user guide. I just again reinforce the message about this is all fixed issues, right? So the premium bicycle does not exist. And what we have done here in red, make crazy things like do not use this bike when temperature is over 40 degrees Celsius as tires are not ready for that. Okay, well, that doesn't happen. Or think like the warranty is 40 months, or we're gonna go through this premium oil 2028-7, okay, which does not exist, okay, but this is the lubricant we really recommend for our bike. Okay, so I just write here in red things that for you to highlight. So we're going to be using this very unique information for us, okay? So I just download all those documents. And then what we're going to be doing is create a database on a schema where I'm going to have, everything that I need, right? Like the PDF documents, the search service, my tables, and everything, right? So that's the first thing I have to do. You can copy this if you want. Create this one. Let me go back to my database. So here on the left on projects, I may need to authenticate again. Oh no, I'm good. Okay. So here I have worksheets. I have SQL and Python worksheets. I'm going to be using a SQL worksheet. You have notebooks. You have the Streamlit application we're going to be using later. I will show you later how we can do this lab also using a notebook. Okay. So in fact, I think it's on the first section. There is a link to get the notebook and run here everything in the notebook. Let me do just the SQL, and I will show you later how we can do everything else. Let's create a new worksheet. Here on the top of the right, click on Create SQL Worksheet. Okay, I'm going to create that one. Here I go. I'm going to create my CC QUICKSTART Cortex Search Docs database and the data schema. If I go to the left and I click here on refresh, you see that. So I have just created a database, the schema, right? And as I said, we need for now, okay, this Python library to do the split, okay? Which also I think is good. We create a user-defined table function to do the split, so you guys can see how you can use a small part within a Snowflake. But once we get the split natively, no way to use it. Here, just creating this text chunker. So giving a string, we're going to divide the string into pieces, okay? We use this LangChain library as the package. And from that one, we're going to use this recursive character text splitter. Okay, and we're going to divide this into this chunk side. So what we do is to get that text divided into 1,512 characters. This is something you can change yourself. A split native function from Snowflake will be smart than this. Okay, we'll be able to detect paragraphs and things like that. Okay, so definitely something to change. And this is the overlap, right? So we're going to split the text into pieces, but with an overlap to make sure we do not lose any content, any context there, right? So I just need to execute this. Let me copy everything. So let's go back to my QUICKSTART here. Let me make this smaller. I don't need this to be there. So let's get this code and create this function. So now this function, text underscore chunker, is something I can call. Okay, and if I do a refresh on the left, refresh, you see now within my data schema, I have functions. I have the text chunker function, okay, ready to be used, right? So yes, something I need to have there. Perfect. So now I'm gonna create a staging area to have my PDF documents. You can have an S3 location in AWS or blob storage, right? And you want to point to that. So really, you don't have to, if you don't want to copy the PDFs into a Snowflake, right? Maybe they are already somewhere else. The only thing is that to read that, I need to create the authentication, right? And make sure everything is well. I don't want to spend that time in this lab. So I'm going to create my own staging area and get that one here. So this is where I'm going to place my PDF documents. So let's create this one. Again, if I do a refresh here, I got the stage, I got this docs one, and I think the next thing to do is to upload the PDFs that I just downloaded into this staging area, right? So the way to do it, let me see if I go to the left. Here, you go into the docs staging area. I can go there, open stage details in new tab. Okay, you see that, Arun, right? So I can click there. Good, perfect. I have downloaded the zip file with all the documents. I can just drag and drop here, right? Or I can click on plus files. I can browse. Okay, not this one. I mean, let me upload, let me get my downloads. Let's uncompress this. Now I got my docs folder. Click on browse. Let's go into the docs. I got everything here. I got documents for skis and for bikes. Okay, the two type of products we have within the company. So they are there. I can click on upload. Good, got everything there, right? So I got my PDFs. Now the next thing is to parse those PDFs, read them, get the context, and create a service. So let's go to the QUICKSTART again. You can double check. I mean, it's there on the UI, right? But if you want, I can do these ls docs, and you will see this is like listing a file system, correct? I can click here and see, okay. These are the PDF. So I have all the metadata, right? I'm going to be using this metadata to later when I insert data into the tables. Okay, what is the name, the size, when it has been modified, things like that. So far, the only thing we have done, Arun, is to create a database, right? We have defined a function, which is going to be a helper to chunk the text on pieces. We have created a staging area. We have copied the PDFs into that staging area. Okay, so good?
Yeah, so far so good. Quick question, Carlos. If I have thousands of documents, which is what happens in enterprise, is there any limitation of how many documents I can upload, or how should I be thinking about larger enterprise?
Not really. I mean, that's the thing. So you are using, of course, just a limit number of documents because this is a hands-up lab and are using credits too for a trial account. But of course, the idea here is you can have millions of documents, right? It's not just if you want. This is the use case we have seen in our clients, right? You have a lot of documents. You have technical guides, right? And you want to help your support people to ask questions about those technical guides, or you have policies, right? Or you have, E10K documents from financial services, right? And you want to start asking questions to them. So yeah, the expectation is that you have a lot, right? The key thing here is the maintenance, right? As you will see now, I'm going to create a table. I'm going to enable the Cortex search service, right? And at the very end of the lab too, you have an example about, okay, what do you have to do to automate the process of new documents? And here what you have the features from Snowflake, like streams and tasks, which is based for us in ETL and data engineering, right? To just, when you get a new document, automatically process that document, right? So we will see that for sure. Okay, so let's process the document. So we are here. We're going to be doing the parse document and copy that into a table where we're going to create the Cortex search service. Okay, so the first thing is to create the table. So this is going to be my table. You see, I'm going to just have the path, the size, the URL, the scope URL, the chunk, which is the piece of text. So I'm going to read the PDF. I'm going to have that piece of text into this column. So I'm expecting that for one document, I will have different rows for the same document with different pieces of text. Okay. And just to show you here, I have this category. By the way, there is a typo, right? Category, where I'm going to have if it's a ski or it is bikes. Okay, and it is just one example, because within Cortex Search, I can also do filters, right? So maybe I want to do a search and just filter for bikes or filter for one. And also the cool thing is that I'm going to be using large language models, okay, to help me to do this, to find this, what's the right category here, okay? So let's create the table. Let's go there. Let's create the table. So I can just click there, table being created. If I refresh, I got now the table on the left. You see the table is there. It's empty for now. Okay, so let's process that. And now that is, again, super easy, and it's going to be even easier, right? So this is what I'm doing. And I insert into this table I just created. Okay, what I do is that I get, this is the staging area, docs. So I use this directory. At the end, it's a directory table. So it is really like a file system. So what I do is that, okay, for every document that we have here, okay, I'm going to get a table as an output where I call the text chunker, which is the function we just created before, okay? And I'm using this beautiful native parse. Sorry, I don't know why I get this, this parse underscore document, which is a Cortex function, right? You see a snowflake.cortex.parse underscore document, okay? So this function, the only thing I tell is, okay, this is my directory. This is the place where I have my PDFs, okay? This is the relative path, so this is the name of the file. So for each file we have here. And this is what I mentioned from your blog post, right? Where you have this layout, where you can have OCR or you can have layout. So depending on your use case, you may want to use one or the other, okay? In this case, I'm gonna be using layout. Okay, so this new parse underscore document is gonna natively, read that PDF document, get the text, okay, send that text to the text underscore chunker, which is gonna split that. And then because I get a table function at the end for each PDF, I'm gonna have multiple rows with the content of that file in this Snowflake table I just created before. Let me do this and I will open for any question that you may have or anything you want to reiterate. You wrote that wonderful blog post. So let me go here, copy that one. Okay, let me make this get bigger. We can see. So I'm gonna get this insert into, let's play. There we go. So now I'm processing. I think it was 8 documents, if I remember well. Okay, it's gonna generate more records there. So yeah, I created 41 records. Okay, so it has to split this into different pieces. Even if you guys want, you can take a look. Let's take a look here. I don't know if it's in the QUICKSTART or not. So let's jump. So let's do a select from this table. Yeah, let's get just, I made 7. Let's run it. So you see the Carrero keys has been split in 4 pieces. Here you have the text for each one of them, right? All the information, a specific chunk for that document, okay? Any questions so far? Anything, Aaron, any comment you want to make?
Yeah, this is fantastic. Just a quick question, Carlos. You mentioned that as new documents get added, it automatically will take care of it. Can you help me understand how that works in this context?
Do you want me to jump to the very end of the live now? Okay, well, that's not the problem. Let's just do it. So I have a directory table, okay? This is the staging area I created and where I upload things there, okay? The good thing, and let me just jump into the very end, I think it's a good question, is that I have within a Snowflake, right, got something called a stream, okay? The stream is like the change data capture, okay? So a directory table is just another table within a Snowflake, but we treat like a file system, right? We support unstructured data for 3 years now, something like that, crazy. So the beauty here is that now that the stream is going to detect if is there any new PDF in that staging area, right? So what I do is that this is called docs stream, and then when I create this a task is an action you want to take. Okay, so what I want to do here is that every minute I'm going to check if is there any new data in that stream. So do I have any new PDF document there? Okay, if I have any new PDF document, I'm going to do the same thing I just did now. I'm going to process that PDF. I'm going to read that parse document. I'm going to split on pieces. I'm going to insert that into my table. Okay.
Amazing.
But
that.
This is where also, so this is good. I'm copying that into the table, right? That remember, this is about retrieval augmented generation, right? In other implementations, what you have to do and what I had to do a few months ago in the previous QUICKSTART, I had to create that piece of text, the chunk. I had to call an embedding function, Okay, well, good. Within Snowflake, we have embeddings functions within Snowflake, so I don't even need to create an API. But in other implementations, you have to go somewhere else to do the embeddings, and then you have to store that embedding yourself. Okay, this is what we do now with Cortex Search Service. So before going into Cortex Search, okay, I don't want to miss anything. I have copied the PDFs into the Snowflake table, okay? But as I said, I want to do something else, okay? And what I want to do is that use the large language model to label the product category, okay? So again, this is maybe it's not your use case, right? Or you can do something different. But the goal here is to prove how easy it is to use large language models within a Snowflake to do something with your data, okay? So what I want to do is to create a table, a temporary table in this case, which is going to create the categories for each document, okay? And I call this complete function using this Llama 3 7B large language model, okay? And then asking, given the name of the file between this and that, determine if it is related to bikes or snow, using only one word. And I agree, this is a very simple and very easy example, and I'm using the names and everything is there on the name, right? So, but it's just to show also, I don't want to spend credits, but you maybe could take the first chunks of the PDF, right? And use that content to say, hey, what is this about? Classify. So I'm using just the file name, right? But you may want to use content. The thing is that it is text. I can process that text within the Snowflake, making this call to large language models, okay, in a very easy way. So I'm going to create these categories for the documents I got here. Okay, so let me execute, run this all. Okay, let's create that. And now let's check how many categories do I have. Hopefully I got 2. Copy this. Let's go down here. So I got bike and snow. That's good. Again, the goal here is just to show you later that within Cortex Search, we can filter. Okay, so I'm using this just to create the filters, and that's all. So now what I'm going to do is just to update my chunks table with that category. Okay, we can use this one later. So that's all. Go here. Let's do the updates. And we are good. Okay, so now I have my table ready to enable my Cortex Search, okay? Again, on the past, what I have to do is to create my embeddings myself, store those embeddings, right? That's what you do when you have a vector database too, something like that. So we have this Cortex Search service. So again, man, this is every time easier and easier, right? This is the only thing I have to do. Now, this section is just this. I only have to copy and paste this step. Let's take a look to what we're doing. Okay, so I have this Cortex Search Service. This is the name I'm going to give, CC Search Service Cortex Search. Okay, I'm going to do that on chunk. So that is the piece of text I have extracted from the PDF documents. Okay, I may want to filter on category. Okay, that's the reason I just created. And as I said, this table is going to be fully automated. So when I insert new data in this table, the Cortex Search Service automatically will be creating the embeddings and maintaining the indexing for me. Okay, so to do that, it's going to use a warehouse, in this case, the compute warehouse, and I can decide what is the target lag. So every minute, I want to check if I have any new data there and create the indexing. Okay, or it can be 1 hour. That's really up to you how you want to do it. Okay, and when I use this service from the tables, I'm going to consider also the chunk, the relative path, the URL, and the category. Okay, and I do this on the table I just created before. Is it clear?
Yes.
So very easy to use. This is the only thing I had to do and then forget. So let me go here. Let's create this service. Okay, and now the service is running. And the next thing is to create my applications. Remember, Cortex Search Service, the same thing we saw yesterday with Cortex Analyst, is an API, right? And one of the things here is that's also extremely fast. Okay, and the reason is because it's an API, so we go straight, okay, to query that data, right? We're talking about milliseconds versus if you had to do the previous approach and look for your index and similarity search and so on, was taking much longer, okay? And also the scalability of the solution itself, okay? So that's just created. Now I can start using the API to query the service. And that's the next thing we're gonna be doing, is creating our first app. We're gonna create two apps, okay? The first one is just asking one question and getting the answer. The second one is going to be like a chatbot where I can have some conversation with that. Okay. So guys, I hope you have been using Streamlit before. It's a beautiful tool for us. If not, this is going to be your first one, and you will be surprised how easy, is to build applications within Snowflake. Okay. So let's create the first one. So to create I want to make sure people follow, right, what we had to do. Right, so click the Streamlit app here on the left. As we saw before, I have the worksheets, the notebooks, Streamlit. So let's make a click on Streamlit. Okay, I'm going to create my first Streamlit app here. You see the bottom. And let's give it a name. So let's call this CC Cortex Search app. And the only thing is make sure it's on my CC QUICKSTART Cortex Search Docs in this database, my data schema. Okay, the reason is that I'm not using full qualified names when getting access to the tables and so on. So the app is running on the same schema where I have my tables. Okay. And this is the compute warehouse. This is the one I have. I have one this for yesterday. This extra small is good enough. If you have a trial account, this is the one you have by default, so it should be okay. If you have your own personal account, you may have different warehouses, so really up to you. Extra small is more than enough for what we're doing here today, okay? So let's create this one. The first time you create a Streamlit app, gives you this code by default, okay? What we do, okay, let's do something. I'm gonna copy, this is the application. Okay, I'm gonna copy that. I'm gonna run it so we can take a look, and then we go deeper into what's happening within the code. Okay, let me copy all this. Yeah, and I realized it would be better from the Snow site. So this is my application. Let me copy everything. Okay. I can remove what I had here. Oh, why did I get this dictionary? Okay, let me clean everything and paste my code. Okay, if I run this now, I'm gonna get an error. Okay, it's expected, it's here, it's documented. Okay, the reason is that I'm using this core, right? Yeah, do that. So snowflake.core. This is the Python package I have to use. Okay, so how do I do that? Okay, here at the very beginning of the app, you see packages is there, right? Packages. So if I click there, I can define what is the Python libraries I need. Okay, so in order to connect to the Cortex Search Service, I need this snowflake.core library. So yes, go here, snowflake.core is this one. Just click there. And I think also best practice is to fix this to a specific versions. Okay, so let's get the Snowflake core. I know this is working well, so I'm gonna go into the 091, Python 3.8, Snowpark Python, is going to be 122.1, and Streamlit is going to be 126. This is the packages I have been using to run my lab. I know that works well, so I want to avoid any issue here. So that's good. I can click on run.
Yeah. Once you hit run, can you show those settings to me one more time? I want to make sure.
Of course, I will. So how to do that? On the top, make sure, if I'm here, I don't see that option. So make sure you go to the beginning of your code, okay? In that beginning of your code, here you have packages, okay? So you click there on the packages, and this is the packages that you have, right? Well, just make a comment here. This is also, you have state packages. Let's think that you have your specific library, which is not in our Anaconda library for Snowflake. This is the way to upload it, right? So I can just import that packages and use my own libraries there, okay? This is in Anaconda, so I'm using those ones there. And yes, this is working, okay? So let's do something. So here you have some, this is the code walkthrough. Let's make some quick interaction with the app. Something important here on the top of the left, you see this greater than, right? The arrow. If you click there, you have a sidebar. Okay, I find that very useful within Streamlit. And again, this is just for my demo purpose and for you guys to understand how this works pretty well, okay? But here I will be able to select the large language model I want to use. Typically, you will not be doing this when you build your chatbot. You will decide what is the LLM you want to use, right? But again, it's so easy within a Snowflake that for me, it's no effort to have all these things here. Again, I can select if I want to use the context, or really, do I want to make the call to Cortex search to find the context and then give that context to the large language model with the question or not. And the only reason to do that here is to prove, like if I go and say, I showed you before, I don't know if you remember the lubricant for my premium bike. It was in that PDF document. So let's see if I ask that question, is there any specific lubricant to be used with the premium bike? And I don't have use your own documents and context. So I ask in Mistral 8X7B this question, right? So it's going to give me the answer based on the information that they have, right? So when I get here is a kind of, based on the data that has been trained. Okay, give me a generic bicycle, finished dry lubricant, 3-flow superior lubricant. Maybe even it's hallucinating here a little bit. I'm not an expert on lubricants, to be honest. That doesn't sound very there. What happens if I make a click here? Okay, now you see, yes, on the left, I got all that information. This is the output, and just print it here for purpose of you guys see what's going on, right? This is the output of what Cortex Search found as relevant pieces of text, okay, from those PDFs that may have the right information. And in fact, it's right. So remember, I was talking about premium oil 2020-87. Okay, that is my unique lubricant that does not exist, but it's all my PDF documents. And you take a look here, right? I'm talking about the premium oil 2027. So I asked to get 3 different chunks, second and the third with the top information. This is what I'm sending to the large language model, okay, to give me the answer. And also here, I made my code to give me a link to the PDF document where I get all this information. So I can even click here, I can get that document. And if I make this much bigger, this is the same document I had before, right? I got the premium oil there, right? So let's take a look to any question here, Arun, before I go into the code.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Just one question, Carlos. I noticed that the moment you check the box on use my own document, it gave you the answer without doing anything else.
Yeah.
Is that how it's supposed to work?
No, this is the Streamlit application. I mean, yes, when there is a change, it's detected. I can change that to say, okay, click there and press. This is just the way that the code has been there, nothing relevant. So let's see what's going on there. Okay. So first thing here, this is the number of chunks. So I'm going to be using this when I asking Cortex Search about, okay, how many pieces of information I want to get back. Maybe this is something for you to try different values depending on your use case. Here for these documents, 3 is enough. Maybe you want to get more. This is the information you want to get. Okay. Columns is just what is the output I want to get. I want to get the chunk, the relative path, and the category. Okay. And this is what I need. This is root session, and this is my service. This is my search service, which is using the search service I just created before. Remember, Arun, in the previous step, I create this search service on my table. This is the name. That service is in my database, in my schema, and that is the name of the service. Okay. So now I have this pointer, SVZ service, which is going to be using to query Cortex Search. Okay. So here, well, I show you, I can go here, right, and select the different models. This is the beauty also of Snowflake Cortex AI, is that at the moment we have now more models than the one I have here, right? I need to add the name of the model here and will be available, right? So that's the only thing I have to do. So this is the function to get similar chunks, search service. And as you can see, this is the only thing I do. Call the search service with my query. So this is the question I asking. The columns I want to get back, I defined before, and the number of chunks. Give me 3 chunks. Okay. Also, I can go and filter and say, okay, if I asking questions, I can do this filter on the left. Okay, and say, okay, this is only asking questions about bikes, right? And give me only that information about bikes. Okay, so this is how you can use the filter with the Cortex Search Service. Okay, so and this is the key thing. What we're building is creating this prompt. Okay, in the prompt, what we do is that you are an expert chat assistant that extract information from the context provided between context and context tags. Then answering this question between question and question. Be concise, do not hallucinate. If you have any information, just say so, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is something you guys can try, use different prompts to see what different results you may have. Okay, to be very honest, this is the first one I wrote. It was working well, so I didn't touch it, but it's up to you to try to modify that a little bit if you want. Okay, what I do here is this prompt context. This is the output I got from Cortex Search. Okay, this is the relevant pieces of information I got from Cortex Search I have here, and this is my question. Okay, so now what I do is just get that question and call the complete, which is how we call the large language models within a Snowflake, with 2 parameters. The first one is the model name I'm using. The second, the prompt I just built before. Okay, that's all what I have to do. So I get that question. This is 150 lines of code, right? And you guys hopefully has built your first chatbot. Okay, can start asking questions about your documents, right? If I go here on the left, let me make this go there. Again, I can use different models, right? Like, okay, Arctic. What is the answer from Arctic? Okay, Arctic, give me a short answer, right? It's using the same thing for Cortex Search. Is providing all that context to the large language model. Give me a short answer. You can try different models and see what works. Because depending on the region where you are, you may have access to different models. Check that on the prerequisites that you have there. So you may want to tune that a little bit. If I go back to my QUICKSTART, right, this is the explanation I have been providing on the code. The complete, where we call the complete, and everything deployed there, right? There are different questions that you can ask, like something we have this premium bike. Is there any temperature to be considered with the premium bike? Remember, I had something there on my document. So I can go here and say, yeah, the maximum is 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, that was something specific I had in my document. Okay, so guys, you can go try and ask different questions and see things to text. As I mentioned, you may want to try different chunk size. Once we have the split function within Snowflake in public preview, this will be easier. Okay, also for you, you can specify that, but it's gonna be also more smart. You can try different prompts. This is the one I use. You can try something different, and you can try different number of chunks. Okay, so this Streamlit is just, again, very simple. It's making one question and giving you an answer. Okay, now what I want to do is the same thing, but be more interactive. So remember what is the chat we are having, okay, to keep the context there. So yeah, I think we're running out of time here. I've been trying to be very slow to follow up. You follow me, this next step is the same thing. So you can just create another Streamlit application. This is the libraries you have to use to make it work, okay? And just copy and paste everything. The difference here is that you are gonna see is we got memory, okay? And we can just go and keep asking questions about the same thing, right? That is relevant. If you go to the end, you have some suggestions of questions you can ask. If you don't keep the context, then maybe the next question is not related to the previous one, so you got different answers. But if you keep the content, you also can see how we phrase the question, okay, to get the new answer, and everything is there. So again, super easy to go and follow up. Let me finish here with a couple of things. Today, we have been talking to PDF documents, right? So how do I decide if I have to use one or the other? If I'm asking a question, how do I know if I have to go to Analyst or Cortex Search? Well, that is the announcement we made this week with Cortex Chat API in private preview, right? So that's another API on the layer who's really gonna orchestrate, everything, and just use the services from Snowflake that you need to really answer the questions that you have there. How it's gonna be, is that chat API interface where you, again, go to the API, ask the question, and then that API will orchestrate and decide it, okay, I have to use Analyst, I have to use Search, I have to make a call to a large language model, okay, to make the work there. So super excited about this. This is in private preview. Please reach out to your account team, okay, about this, and we can start working on that with you. You have everything that you need to get your hands dirty with Snowflake and Cortex AI, building these amazing applications. I'm really excited to see what you guys can build. Thank you very much and have a great day.